All right, so we have a new tournament next week at the Acacia Reserve. It's not open yet. We can't practice, can't do anything, but we can go look at the holes. So let's do a little scouting report here and prepare ourselves. Just checking out some club numbers at Golf Clash Notebook. I like the way that they do. You can go to a page on Golf Clash Notebook and you see the club you're looking for, and you can do the wind chart and everything's right there. I like that part on their page better than on Tommy's site, but Tommy's got up-to-date tournament information. Golf Clash Notebook hasn't been updated and as far as its tournament stuff in several years, so we will use Tommy's. Thank you, Tommy. All right, all these holes are going to be at Acacia Reserve, and these are tough holes. Hold on one second. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. I started it up and I was looking at hole number 1 here, and I was like, is that the hole? Is that really the hole? And I went back and watched the last time I played this to see what the hell I was doing. For some reason, when I was like scouting this out, I thought this was a different hole, but looking at it here, okay. There are a bunch of different ways that you can play this hole. So when this hole first came out, there is a shot that you can do from down in here if you bring out the right equipment, where, like, if we take ourselves off of this just a little bit, draw this line coming through here, we're trying to split this difference to get out into this area. I've been out in the rough. I've tried this shot over here several times, and I've done it with lots of curl, where I started off over here to allow my curl to become effective so I could try and avoid this stuff. There is, and you can get out there. And here's the thing, you're at the very end of the tail. If you hit this rough right, you'll end up, bleeding out. If you miss the rough and hit the fairway, you can end up on the other side. A lot of different stuff can happen out here, where you may take this shot 10 times and all 10 times you're in totally different spots. So but I will say that from out here, you've got a really, really good shot, short iron shot, depending on where you get, could be wedge shot to the cup, and so it isn't too bad of an area. The other thing that you can do if you want to just lay it up out here coming at the cup is there is a rough bump that you can do from this angle. Hitting to the other side, you can lay it up out here. If I can find my pen. There. Hold on. I have no idea why my pen, when it gets lost, it snaps up to the corner, and then you can't grab it because then you're pulling the menu bar down. If you're coming out to here and you're hitting out to this spot, you got a nice clean shot at it. There is a max overpower hook shot that you can do from this side, and you really have to work that out totally with your clubs and whatever ball inventory you want. I'm not so sure that you have to bring out a bugger ball, but you do want to have a club that's got a lot of topspin. So, and it needs to have a lot of curl. So we're talking APOC, big topper, rock. I'm not sure a rock has enough topspin to get you over here, but you're probably down to your big topper and your APOC if you want to get enough curl to get through it. But there is a max overpower hook shot that you can take out here, and like I said, you will have to practice that. The other way you can go is if we draw a line to the cup, and we draw a line out to this area right here, and we're trying to split this difference from this spot. There is a max curl shot that you can do, and once again, it really works out better with a Apocalypse. It took a 3 power ball with some topspin boost. I had to put 1 extra topspin on it. Maybe you could go as much as 2, just depending on the way that the wind's blowing. And this is, once again, one of those things you'll have to work out with your ball inventory and your clubs. You want to get far enough forward so you're in this track right here. So as you apply that curl, it's curling it around, and it's trying to get on the track to go through this lane. So even if you just clip the rough and it bleeds out, if you miss that rough, it will go for a wild ride. You will end up on the rough behind it, and I think they've put signage out here, so that those signs are definitely in play, which is bullshit, but they're in play. This will be the shot that I'm going to try, but before the topspin boost balls came out, because it's really kind of difficult to get out there without a topspin boost ball, unless you got like a level 7 APOC, which it's hard to get out there without a topspin boost ball. But with the max overpower hook shot, you can get a little bit more throw, and as it's whipping it around the corner, and you can get over there. So that if this shot wasn't there, I would be trying to remember how to take this max overpower hook shot to try and get up on the green and one. Here's the thing. This is a great shot from out here. You got to hit it perfect to get in, and you're going to have to make a wind adjustment because this is definitely uphill. This right here is pretty flat to the cup. You're definitely going to have to hit it perfect. You're definitely going to have to make a good wind adjustment. This spot out here, you're going to have to hit it perfect. You're going to have to make a good wind adjustment, and this is at a different level. This is kind of in between. So this is the high point. A is the high point, B is the midpoint, and C is about level with the cup. And so each one of these is going to present where you're going to have to get those numbers right. I would rather go for the green and have to shoot the shot from right here in the rough to get up there, or right here in the sand, or wherever I'm at here, or trying to pick it up from the back side to try and get it in. These right here, if you hit them perfect, they're going in the hole. As opposed to making one of these shots from distance. I'm going to go for the green every time on this. Even if I didn't have the club and the ball that was right, I would figure out how to do that max overpower hook shot, and I'm pretty sure you can do that with an extra mile that's got like 4 topspin, but if you bring out a topspin boost ball, you should be able to run a little bit more topspin on it. Now, here's the problem there. I take that back. I might have spoke too fast on that. I used the wrong club. If you got an APOC 4, so you still have some curl, but with an extra mile, you can't get more side spin on the ball if you're trying to run all of the top spin to get all that top spin on. There's only so much side spin you can get on, so you really need a club that's got curl. And you need a club that has some top spin, so you're not having to try and make up for both. This is a hole that we can get over there though, and it would be big if we could get an eagle on this hole. Big. I want to start off with an eagle. Alright, this par 5, jeez, I made a mistake on my notes. I wrote this down as a par 3, it's a par 5. Alright. Our landing zone, I have tried many times to get from over here and try and bounce it over so that you're just getting up onto this pad, and it's rough. Now, I just talked about topspin boost balls. You might be able to get yourself in a little bit better position with a topspin boost ball where you can do it. But once again, you can't put these trees are right here. I think if you're trying to do a max curl shot, I think you can end up in those trees. So if we're trying to get down here to the end and then we're going to try and, hit a shot that's going to bring us over, you could end up catching these trees. It's sketchy down in this area, but this shot from over here is not. It's a lot of work to pick up. If you just laid it up right here, you are picking up a little bit of distance, but it is super risky. And if you get caught up over here, you could be in a spot of bother depending on what secondary clubs you have. It's tough enough if you're on the lip here in the sand. It is a rough shot to get. I mean, just like our recover shot, just like let's get up there and just get our eagle putt and let's move along little doggy. It's rough. Depending on what clubs you have, it could be really rough, impossible. If you're on the rough right here where you just bounced out of the sand but you got caught in that rough, it's still rough. But if you got a Nirvana, it's definitely doable. You end up in the rough anywhere else down here, or the sand anywhere down here, you got a pretty easy shot getting up. Not a really good shot to go for it because of how the green is. This is a big ass bowl starting from the top, and you're starting here. So here's A. You're starting at the top of this, and then it goes way down to the sand, and then it comes up just a little bit and plateaus kind of where the green is, but the green is still on this kind of an angle. There is a rough bump you can do here, and if I can get in the right spot in this area, I'm going to be shooting for the rough bump, and I believe I was doing Seems like I was doing a plus 30 to the cup. Plus 30. Now, most people that you see are going to do, there's really two ways you're going to see people play this. They're going to be laying it up right here. And if you're laying it up right here, you can and Ricky get this done with probably any ball. It's obviously easier to do it with a bigger power ball. But you can, and if you got a lower power ball like a 0 or 1, it'll be a little bit of a struggle, but you can get out here. That's not the big deal. The big deal is that you have a long ass shot. The second shot, I mean, I measure the distance from the tee box to getting out into here. And then look at the distance that we have to get from here to here. I mean, we're still talking about, even with a big dog, if you don't get in the right spot with a 3 power ball, you could not get the rough bump. So that means you're hitting from this side, trying to bring it around to the other side. It is one of those things where bringing out at least a 3 power ball could help you, not so much on the first shot, but on the second shot. Having a bigger ball is definitely going to help you. And if you end up in any kind of trouble, the bigger the ball, the better. Now, there's several ways that you can try and get over here. You can bring out the stuff or overpower it, bring out a big enough ball or overpower it to try and start off on this and then stick it. Or you can start off on this side and you can bring it back around where you're starting off over here. Let's see if we can get the angles right. You're on the tee and you're going off in this direction, and then you're putting curl on in order to try and run it as far as you can up here. The other way that you can do it is you can bring out a big power ball where you can start off on this side right here with overpower and then try and bridge the gap and then run up the course. Now this fairway down here, especially as you get towards this end, it's kind of domed, and so if your ball's running down the course and it's on the left-hand side, the farther it gets down, the more it's going to get pushed to the left, and it'll almost invariably end up in the rough or in the sand. This side over here is a little bit flatter, but if you're already going off in that direction, there's not much that can save you. But if you're going down the middle of the fairway, it's not, and you're in the middle of the fairway, it's not going to tend to want to go to the right. It's going to want to go to the left. So it is kind of difficult to get it to stay right in the middle right here. And usually the way I do it is I want to try and ride, if I draw a line down this, I want to try and utilize this side of the fairway so that I can avoid this spot over here that's rolling off. If you bring out a 5 power ball with an extra mile, if you got a maxed out extra mile, it's 1 less than max topspin. If you got a level 8, just max topspin and trying to get the run out. And you don't have to get all the way to the bottom, but you want to get down into this zone right here, because then you can take this rough bump with the Goliath and it'll have enough topspin to be able to push you up to the cup. And I was doing a plus 30 to the cup. If you bring out a power 5 ball and you've got a maxed out Goliath, if you do hand math with power 5 balls, it's a little more accurate than it is with a power 3. So just be cognizant. Go look up the numbers for your club if you're using a power 5 ball, because they will be different. This is a tough ass hole, but it is a great opportunity to pick up an Albie. But we all know how that works. You go to a hole and you're like, man, I'm really going to get the Albie, and it's a tough hole. I'm really going to get the Albie, and then you walk away with a par. So we want to go for Albie on this hole, but we've got to be cognizant that this hole right here is going to eat a lot of people's lunch. They're either going to blow the drive, they're going to bring the wrong stuff, they're going to bring the wrong ball. The second shot's tough. I see a lot of people failing on this hole and not getting a birdie, not getting an eagle. And we do not want to be in that group. This is a hole where if you come out and just get an eagle, you beat a pretty good portion of the people that are in your bracket, just because they did not succeed on this. I would think that there's probably going to be maybe 20% of the bracket that'll fail on this, and probably a good 15% of them are going to fail on it on one side or the other, and another 5-10% are going to fail on it both times. So this is a hole that it's not necessarily going to get us ahead of the people that are at the top, but it's going to hold our position. And we can really if we put ourselves in the right spot, really kind of go for that second shot. So second shot, I'm going to do a Goliath and a plus 30. And I'm using a Zerk. The Zerk. All right, there is a spot right here. Now here's the tricky thing. The wind's blowing like in this range right here so that you can pull along this little fairway area. Or if the wind's blowing on anything on this direction, you're good to go. But if you're getting anything that's going from this direction or this direction where you have to pull over that sand, there is a spot down here, and the spot for me kind of changes a little. It's if you're using a sniper, it's a couple rings. So you have about 2 rings before you get to the sand and have to start pulling over the sand. So if you're down here, this is a great time for a low wind, low power ball. I was using a 0 power ball, but you can also use a 1. On days when the wind was blowing from this direction, what I do is I kind of cheat just a little bit, and I push up instead of being like dead center, which is where I like to be. I'll push it forward just a little and give me maybe another half a ring. And if the wind's blowing from this direction, I'll cheat a little and I'll come over here. So I like to be dead center where I've got like 2 rings lined up, where I've got one edge right here on the sand, one edge, and so I'm kind of like dead center in it. But if the wind is blowing such that I have to work over the sand, if you look at the wind and it's like, hey, it's less than 2 and I'm not going to have to worry about the sand, then, you know, pull it your normal way. But if you find, hey, even with a low wind ball, I'm having to pull at 2.3, move it over a little. These spots do hit pretty much the same. I believe I was doing 1-to-1 at 0%, because you're at mid club, and if you add on 10%, it's basically 1.1 times the wind divided by 1.1. So the 1.1s balance each other out, and it's just the wind. I would start there and then see how it's going. Now, if you don't have any low wind balls and the wind is blowing such, or let's say you're playing it from one of the back tees or from the pro tees, and you can't get in this area, or you don't want to have to pull over the wind because the wind's blowing like this. If the wind's blowing like this, it's nice. You can do a rough bump from right here with a sniper and then run it out to the cup. It's not as good as this rough bump, but it will open it up so you don't have to work out the wind on days where the wind's blowing, you know, like this, along that trajectory. If the wind's blowing from this way, just depending, you might be able to work it out. So there is a secondary. You can hit on the fairway and just kind of run it up at it, but if in the past when I've tried to hit it at the fairway, I've actually hit it from back. Damn it, my pen got stuck in the corner again. Stuck in the corner. Damn pen. You can actually hit it from back here and run it up. I don't like really trying to be on the edge right here and then trying to bring it around. I don't think you'll have to use a lot of side spin to do it, or you have to use the dreaded word curl, and whenever you put curl into a shot, it's hard to repeat. Especially on a shot like this where we're trying to go for hole-in-one. The best way is right here on that rough bump. But you can bounce it up and run it up there. It is possible. Hole number 4. Hole number 4. All right. You're going to see every ball in the world come out on this hole. And I think with a power 5 ball, I'm not sure. I don't know that you have to do overpower on it. You might still have to do. I think you still have to do overpower with a power 5 ball. And trying to get, if we can look at the tee box, see if we can get everything in one picture. From the tee box to the pin, let's draw this line. Okay, we're obviously not going through this shit at the end of our run. So we're going to have to bring the ball over to this side right here. And so trying to get on this angle where we've got a bounce right here. We've got another bounce on the other side of this. And so here's the tricky thing. This second bounce, you'll see more people fail. They got everything right, but the second bounce clipped the rough because they put curl on it. And when the curl comes through here, it's coming through like this. They put just a little teeny bit of curl on it, trying to get it to go towards the cup, and then all of a sudden this little teeny distance, they clip the rough right there, and then they bleed out and they're in that spot. And it's not a bad shot from over here to there. It's a wedge, and you can do a rough bump. There's a lot of, you can go right at it, you can do a rough bump. It's an okay shot, but the deal is that we can get up on the green. You just don't need to put a lot of curl. We want to have a ball that's got some side spin so that we can get the movement that we're looking for with side spin. Side spin doesn't take effect until the ball hits the ground. So the first shot here is going to be right where you were aiming it. And then the side spins wherever that's at. And I wouldn't, if you do put any curl on it, it is just like barely leaning. Anything great to the right, you're probably going to clip the rough. If you miss it, that's excellent. That's a great path through. Anything great to the left, you end up skirting this, and sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll be on the fairway side, and sometimes you'll be unlucky and it'll be on the rough side, and it's right there along that edge. It wouldn't be a bad idea to bring out a 5-power ball with 4 side spin, or even 5 side spin, because then you could really kind of get your tail where it was going more this way. So if you did hit a great to the left or the right, as long as it doesn't clip the rough right here, it's going to end up on the green side. With an extra mile 9 I was taking the wind out. I was using a power 5 ball. I was doing plus 10 on the drive. I was taking the wind out and then putting 1 forward ring back in. So you can, I think even on days where we have big headwind, I think we'll be able to work that and get that ball up on the green. This is a hole this is some low-hanging fruit right here. And we need to bring out whatever we have in our bag in order to make this happen. So, you know, if you've got some of those bigger power balls that got bigger side spin and you've been hanging on to them waiting for a hole, this is going to be a good hole, because this is a hole we definitely need to get. The people at the top of the bracket are going to have made this hole both times through, and we've got to keep up with the Joneses. And this will definitely put us ahead of all of the people who weren't willing to bring out the stuff or didn't have it. But hey, you know, that's how the game works. We definitely want to get this hole. These last 2 par 4s we have to get. This one's a little bit harder than the last par 4, but we need to get these par 4s. And we can get on in 1. Hole number 5. My notes say Grizzly, Katana, 4 backspin. I was doing 0.9 per ring, and I did a 12.5% adjustment. And I'm hitting on this side right here, and I believe with my Grizzly, you can bounce it over. There is a rough bump that you can do, although I'm not a fan of this rough bump, I'm not a fan of this spot over here. There's a hill right here, there's a dip right here, there's a ridge right here, there's a dip right there, and this is kind of going downhill. It's a little bit bumpy over here. And when I come over to the other side and run it up to the cup, look at all of the shit. Look at all of the movement that's on that course. So I'm basically running my ball. My ball is going to have to go through all of that stuff and come out perfect on the other side. And it's just tough. It's not that you can't make this shot. It's just that when you're trying to, if you hit it a little teeny bit slow, it's going to go off to the left. A little teeny bit fast, it'll go off to the right. A little teeny bit, you're on the hill and it rolls out, and it's difficult to run it up from distance. Which is why I don't like this rough bump. Because you're doing the rough bump and then you're tailing through a whole bunch of movement on the course. It's almost like we just played a hole here in this last tournament where I was starting off on this side and I was trying to bring it back around to the cup because it was a little bit flatter over on this side and I could avoid this whole ditch of moguls. And I was 3 rings with my Grizzly. I was 3 rings off. I was at 0.9 per ring, and I did a 12.5% adjustment. So if you're doing If you're doing hand math, that's easy. You can just put in 1.125. If you're doing it with one of the apps, it's probably just like 10% plus 0.2 or 0.1. Light adjustments. I'm going to be doing that shot right there, and I was using 4 backspin, and I think I had maybe a sliver of right hand side spin, but I really would rather just hit it with the 4 backspin. And it may move me off my 3 rings, but if I put on 4 backspin and then find the spot, I think that's what I'm going to do, and try and avoid having to put any spin on it, any side spin on it. We have a good shot on that. That's not a bad par 3. It's not a particularly good par 3, but it's not a particularly bad one. All right, the first time I ever played this hole, I got an Albie on it with a Saturn. In rookie, with a Kingmaker, we can start off over here. And I'm really kind of going for this spot out in this area. You don't have to, if you get all the way up into that area, really the difference between those 2 spots is you're in long iron here and you're in wood over here. So, and if you're over here with the long iron, you have a perfect tee rough bump. Now it is a long rough bump. You probably have to bring out a Goliath in order to take that, but there is a rough bump that you can do there. I want to come at it where I'm like right on the tip of that rough, just moving right to the cup. So to get our drive done, all around, we are on hole number 6. There is a shot you can hit out into this area, and if you're from the back tees, that's probably the deal, and then you're coming at it like this, and you know, depending on what ball, you may still have a rough bump from out there. But from rookie, like I said, we can get out into this area. You can get out into this area and try and pound it down. I've been as far out here as down into here just to see what it looked like from down there. It's not a bad shot from down in there if you want to get all the way down. But you'll have to do some overpower on it. Or if you bring out a topspin boost ball, you might be able to just get out there. There's a lot of stuff you could do on this hole if you wanted to bring out like a big, like you can do it with the Kingmaker, but if you brought out a power 5 ball with topspin boost, it might get you to where you could put your big topper out here and you could run your big topper all the way out and try and get up here into your long iron range and go for it from the long iron. But like I said, I'm not gonna do anything special here. I've made this shot quite a few times. It's a pretty decent shot from right there. So I'm gonna do one less with an extra mile 9. I'm gonna do one less than max topspin. No overpower, just pop it out. And then on the second shot, I think I still was in my Grizzly from out here. I am in my Grizzly from where I'm hitting. And I was doing the 0.9 per ring, plus 30 to the cup, minus 0.1. I had like, the spin that you put on there to get it to the cup is going to be variable depending on where you land out here and what your angle is, but you're not going to have to put a lot on it. Now let's talk about the green. This green rolls off hard on the back side. So here's the cup and you go blowing past the cup, you are going for a ride. You can end up in that sand. It will just carry. When you look at it, it looks like the cup is just on a flat little deal, but the second your ball rolls past it, it is going downhill. It picks up speed and shoots off and can shoot off the back. So when you come into this, it's always best to come into it where you can put on a little bit of backspin so that you can control the speed of the ball. So if you do shoot it long, it will come to a stop. Whereas if you're having to run it up there with topspin and you get it wrong, it is going to blow right off the backside. Be careful, but this is a great opportunity for us to get alley right here. Hole number 7. My notes say Grizzly Power 0 ball. Is this the one? This is the one. When this hole first came out, this was not a hole-in-one hole for me, and I see a lot of people try and go at it from this area, but I'm going to go at it from right here at the top, and just as kind of a general, I'm going to be It's like one backspin. And I'm going to have 3.5 rings off of this transition. And then find the spot where my ball's going, my ball guide's going to the cup. And I'm doing plus 60 to the cup. And I believe, I'm not sure I was at max grizzly. I can't remember if I was doing 1 per ring, because I'm just using a power 0 ball. I'm not sure if I was doing the plus 1 per ring or the 0.9. I'll have to establish which one that was. I think I was doing the plus 1 because that's, in the past I've shot this and had a lot of success at it, and I think I was just doing the 1 per ring at 60% with just a little bit of backspin. It is freaking hard to get down here and make a great wind adjustment. So if you get down here and you're off and you miss the cup and you go, wow, I overpulled it or underpulled it, don't blame the percentage. Don't immediately assume that it's the percentage. If you're way the hell off, then you might want to adjust your percentage if you're not using plus 60. But if you're off just a little, I wouldn't blame the plus 60. It's just really hard to make a great wind adjustment. You want to do 2.3 and it's so easy to do 2.1 or 2.5, and because you can't, you're at an angle looking at it and it's just really difficult. You can't zoom down on your ring set because you're so far uphill. It's tough. But I think of this hole as a hole-in-one hole. Once I establish whether or not it was the 1 or the 0.9 per ring, once I get those numbers locked in, and I'm pretty sure it's the 1. Once I get those numbers locked in, I think of this hole as a hole-in-one hole. It is a great opportunity to make a hole-in-one at 60%. Hole number 8. All right, this last par 4, extra mile. I was using a Kingmaker. I was at the plus 60 mark. I was at max club. So if we have headwind days, you could bring out a power 4 ball and pull it back to the plus 16 mark, so it gives you a little bit of room to work out wind. I was doing, once again, 1 less than max topspin, and then just trying to run it right through. No overpower, no curl, just trying to hit it straight through. Trying to hit it so that if I hit a 1 ring grate to the left, I would skirt this. And if I hit a 1 ring grate to the right, I'd clip this rough and just bleed out and I'd be right here. But anything 2 rings grate on either side and you're screwed. Especially on the right. I've given myself a little bit more room on the left, and the way that the course is, I've got a little bit more room on the left-hand side, so I might be able to get a 2 ring grate on the left, but I'm not going to get away with a 2 ring grate on the right. And I was doing plus 10 on the drive. We have to make this. There's just no 2 ways around it. Anybody in the bracket that doesn't make this has just handicapped themselves, and this is a big time. We got to think of this as, it's like a freaking par 3. We got to get it in. We have to get up on the green at 1 and make our putt. Hole number 9. This hole is so freaking frustrating. Maybe from the back tees you're playing out into this area right here. Although I'm not, this shot coming up, trying to get up here, it takes a big ball, a big club. Even from out in here to get up onto the green, it's, you know, wood. I think wood runs out into this area right here with a 3 power ball. So I'm sure from the back tees that they may play out here, but it is rough from over here. And Ricky, I will be quite honest with you, there's spectators standing out here, and you hit over to this area and they're going to get totally pissed off at you. They do keep this fairway open just because we're doing a rough bump, and if you end up in the wrong spot, you may have to bring it around and bounce off of this fairway in order to get it up towards the cup. But this area here has got all spectators on it. We're just using the left-hand side of the course. You do not have to come out here, and we're going to be dead center in the middle of this fairway just trying to run it up. And you can come out here and do a bunch of overpower and bring out bigger balls and try and get way up in here. And you do have a grizzly shot if you can get up into the zone. But normally if you're just getting into this area, and I think it's, not sure what the distance is out into this, but there is a rough bump that we can do. Getting out to here is pretty easy. I'll say this now, if you screw this drive up, literally you can be like, you're with an extra mile, you're like 3 rings off of this, and you're like 5 rings off of this going straight forward. Now I can understand if you over top spend it and you ended up in the rough, but like to end up in the rough over here, you have to really screw this shot up. You have so much room. And we don't have to get all the way down there. If you just get into this area here so that you can use your sniper to do the rough bump. I think it's at, if you're at, here, let me get where I can see the green. From this area out in here, you're in like mid sniper, doing the rough bump off of this coming straight out it. This hole mystifies me because I have been in the right spot I don't know how many times. And I've made the Albi. But I'm never sure like what it's like. If you can't be good, be lucky, or like, hey, you know, the force is with me, I'm one with the force. I've done -5, -10. It is definitely uphill. -20, +5, +10, 0. And this is one of those holes that you do 0 and it's like, shit, I should have did -5. And you do -5 and it's like, I should have done -20. And then you do -20, it's like, you should have did 0. It's variable. It does want to run out past the cup, so you don't want to run it all the way to the cup, but if you leave it too far back from the cup, you'll end up short. So like maybe a square, give it a little bit of room. I like this hole. This is a hole that we can make, but it's not a hole that like, I really hope that this tournament, other than the other tournaments that I've played this hole in, that I can really kind of dial in a number for the freaking second shot, because I'm almost always in the right spot, but it doesn't go in all the time. It's like maybe 10% of the time you get the Alvi. Okay, so that means once out of every 2 tournaments that you're in it, you'll get an Alvi, and that's not a good thing. We want to be able to get at least, you know, we want to make it so that if we get into the right spot out here and we hit it perfect, we got like a 25-30% chance that it's going to go in the hole. That would be really nice. The last time we played this tournament, the scores were monstrous in rookie. I mean, I think it took like, you had to shoot over a 30 just to be like in the conversation. They wouldn't even interview you when you walked off the course unless you shot a 30, because they figured you weren't even a golfer. And you had to shoot much bigger than that in order to win. I think a 33. Here, hold on one second. I'll tell you what my last tournament was. Yeah, so I went back and checked the African Wilds, which I think is the last time we played these holes, and I shot in the weekend round a 31. And I think when all said and done, I ended up with a top 20. I think I was like 18th or 19th, but there was 3 33s at the top when it was all said and done. And so we gotta be on our game. We gotta pick up some shots. So if we look at the 3 par 4s, which there's a couple of them that are tough, but if we can pick those up, we're at 15, and hell, we'd still have to pick up at least 1 more, 3 more, 2 on one side and 1 on another. I like the par 3s. There's 2 of the par 3s here that I really like. The one with 60% that's way downhill, I really like that one. That to me is a really big, really great opportunity to pick one up, and we have opportunities on all 3 of these par 5s. It's just going to be putting ourselves in the right spot so that we can take that second shot. All right, there you have it. There is a kind of a walkthrough scouting report for the Acacia Reserve holes for our upcoming tournament. Hopefully everybody has a great week. I think they'll open up practice tomorrow, and I'm surprised why practice isn't open right now. Oh, well, today is Sunday. The 9-hole cup ended yesterday. You would have thought that practice is open. I was in my low level account. That is why. And I won't be able to play in tournaments. That's why. Of course, practice is open today. All right. Sorry about that. I will practice tomorrow and record and post it up. I might do it today. I gotta go. What time is it? It's 3:40. I got time today. I may do a practice round right now. Maybe. I'll think about it. Thanks for watching. Have a great week. Hopefully everybody has a great week, does good in the tournament, and be safe. Be kind to each other. Thanks for watching.